You're welcome to the Midweek News on AAU TV, your trusted voice of higher education in Africa. My name is Jemima Daladem.
And my name is Mamiuko Takwanyame.
In this week's news on higher education, Higher Education Loans Board runs out of cash. 140,000 students miss out on loans. And in our health news, strong adolescent-parent relationship linked to better long-term health outcomes. 35.
And also in our Discovery news, Cameroonian entrepreneur converts coal waste into green gas. And also in our entertainment news, Kenyan fashion brand looks like Avido gains international recognition. Please stay with us for more news in detail. We'll be right back.
Now the news in detail. The Association of African Universities, AAU, in partnership with the Internet Corporation for Assigned Names, ICANN, on Tuesday, 28 March 2023, organized the Universal Acceptance UA Day. And also, in this initiative, it seeks to ensure that all valid domain names, including long new top-level domains such as .org and the others, which are part of URLs and email addresses, can be used by all Internet-enabled applications, devices and systems regardless of script, language or character length.
ICANN is partnering with AAU to improve the technical capacity of higher education institutions in Africa. ICANN sponsored today's event and partnered AAU to have it. The universal acceptance is to create awareness among key stakeholders about universal acceptance.
Any information they want to send, that communication link must be there, irrespective of what script they are using to do that. So I can write in English and send a mail to somebody and write the person's email address using a different script, not English, but Arabic, Chinese, Japanese, or some other language. And the person must still be able to get the message or email I'm sending to the person. So UAD is universal acceptance for the systems to be able to accept any other linguistic script that is put in there, and the person must be able to accept, receive what I sent to him. The students we have here are going to be the future programmers, they are the developers, and we want them to understand these principles so that when they are developing systems, they incorporate them in the systems they will develop, whether applications, whether websites, whichever they are doing. We want them to incorporate this. So we are bringing them to make them aware of what's existing. And we also brought the lecturers because we want the institutions to begin to teach this in the courses that they offer for the IT students.
So still on the UA Day, some participants shared their experiences and expectations on the program.
I've actually learned how we should make our own languages valuable to us. Without that, we cannot have the entire access to the internet. And if we are able to really make good use of our own languages, people outside and across the world will have access to anything we will be sharing on the internet.
It's a very good initiative. Actually, it will promote access, to users of software applications. And I think it's a very good step in the right direction. Yeah.
In a recent development, around 140,000 students in public universities and technical and vocational education and training TVET colleges in Kenya have been left out state loans after Higher Education Loan Board help ran out of funds.
Since the Higher Education Loans Board help ran out of money, about 140,000 students in public universities and technical and vocational education and training TVET colleges missed out on state loans, making it difficult for them to find alternative sources of funding for their tuition, housing and maintenance. The students will need to wait till the Treasury provides 5.7 billion shillings before receiving further payment, help said in Parliament. The majority of loan applicants are from low-income families and depend on help for assistance with their tuition and maintenance costs. Charles Rengera, CEO of HELP, said that they have not been able to help 140,000 students in TVET and universities to the tune of 5.7 billion shillings because we have run out of the budget that we had submitted to Treasury of 4.5 billion shillings. The students, of whom most are first years, will need to find alternative ways to pay their tuition, housing and maintenance while we wait for government funds as a result of delayed release. Mr. Rengera's request to use the supplemental budget to close the present funding gap was denied. The organization was given 14.8 billion shilling in the current fiscal year to fund students according to the economic circumstances. HELP and the Treasury agreed to a settlement when payments will now be issued every 6 months rather than every 4 in order to correct the disparity. In public universities, the number of government-sponsored students has increased to the quickest rate in the previous year. The number of candidates who passed the Kenya Certificate of Secondary Education exam in 2022 with a required grade for admittance to a university increased from 145,776 to 173,345. Nearly all students who earned a C+ or higher over the previous 5 years were accepted into the regular university programs, making them eligible for HELP loans. Loan defaulters have weakened HELP's ability to support the university and technical college students, prompting allocation cuts and increased reliance on the Treasury.
This is really an interesting one coming from Kenya, seeing that about 140 students are not, the Kenya loan organization is not able to fund for these students.
Yeah.
And even still on the article, I think at a point they mentioned that the 140,000 students are almost at double the 75,000 that they had last year by this time, which they were not still able to fund. And I did a little research looking at how students are not able to pay, or how many students are not able to pay for the loans that they take. And I found that in Rwanda, about 13.3% of the students' body are not able to pay their debt when they are done with school. And this one is about 18,626 students.
Okay.
That is compared to 139,925. That is a lot of students.
Yeah.
Like, that is a lot.
Yeah.
And it came out that these people summing up the money they owe is about 227 million US dollars, and that is a lot of money. And still in Ghana, about 55,000 people or students are still haven't settled their trust fund. But then I would want us to discuss what are the causes, like why are students not able to fund, or let me say pay back these loans after they are done with school.
I'm very glad with the statistics you made, because I mean it must be put out there that Kenya isn't the only country suffering from students not being able to pay their loans. Literally a lot of African countries are going through it. You can talk of Ghana, you can talk of Nigeria, South Africa. A lot of countries are suffering when it comes to retrieving the loans from students. Now let's look at the basics, because like I always say, if you want to solve a problem, you need to look at the fundamentals.
Yes.
After these graduates have after these students have graduated, do we have available jobs for them? We do not.
Yeah.
I have some statistics here that says in Kenya over 2.49 million graduates are jobless, and that's from the National Bureau of Statistics. In Nigeria, over 21 million Nigerians are also unemployed. And then in Ghana, it is 1.74 million. So looking at these figures, imagine if these students had already taken loans in their various schools while they were schooling. How are they going to pay? Because you would have to work to be able to pay back these loans.
That's
so
true.
I think some drastic measures need to be made to ensure that these students after school, they are able to enter either the private sector or the public sector. And even with those who want to do entrepreneurship, you know, that is something that people talk about literally all the time. You can pursue your own dreams, you can do something, but it takes funds, no matter how little it is. These students are literally broke.
in Africa. Students are broke because we do not create any job avenues for them while they are in school. So how do they raise that capital? It's either government is creating more jobs for them in the government sector, and also ensure there are lots of jobs are in the private sector, and also putting out a lot of startup funds. Otherwise, this issue, I mean, it would never stop.
You know, I don't know, but I feel like it's a big problem when these issues go a long way to affect the coming in students, you know, who are not able to get the funds when they also need it. But then, so what are the recommendations you think we can share out? You know, these are just recommendations we can share out.
You know, I think first of all, right, in as much as there's unemployment all over, there are a few graduates who are doing well out there. And so at a point in your life, you found yourself in a situation where you could not afford the school fees, and so that loan was of big help to you. So now that you are doing well, no matter how small or the pace, try to settle that debt so that your little sister or your little your younger brother who is also coming up would have access to that funds. But that being said, government also has a role to play.
Very true.
Aside creating jobs, what measures have been put in place to ensure that these funds are being retrieved? You know, I'm thinking now is the time we look at reforming our laws. Let us look at countries who are able to retrieve their loans. The European countries, Americans, Asian. How are they able to do it? Look at that and then reform your laws. You can liaise with the government sectors, the private sectors in a way that there's a database that tracks that this person owes. So once you get a job either in the private or public sector, there's a way the money would be retrieved. I think that should be done.
Okay, so there should be a way that we can retrieve our student loans back to the loan organizations.
Now, in our Discovery News, Cameroonian entrepreneur converts coal waste into green gas.
The economic center of Cameroon, Douala, discards tons of coal waste annually. The garbage poses a fire risk and has the potential to damage the air and water systems. Eric Thank-You developed a green solution by recycling the charcoal and converting it into a useful green grass. Thank-You is no new to being environmentally friendly. For years, he worked on many programs to promote environmental preservation. He claims that by repurposing the leftover charcoal waste from the gas operation, several hectares of forest have been put to better use. According to him, the gas is actually a synthetic gas created from components containing carbon, not just charcoal waste, but also biomass, plastic, trash from homes, or items of the same nature. The finished product is packaged in a stovetop compatible cylinder. Thank-You explains that using his gas burner to cook food or heat water is safer and more environmentally friendly. Domestic gas is expensive or even unavailable in some locations for a sizable portion of the population of Cameroon. As a result, a lot of Cameroonians depend on coal and firewood for heating and meeting basic necessities. Global Forest Watch (GFW) reports that the pressure is putting a strain on the forest of Cameroon. The website offers information and resources for online forest monitoring. According to the report, Cameroon lost 1.7 million acres, that is 4.2 billion acres, or more of its entire tree cover between 2002 and 2021. According to the Global Forest Watch, logging, wood harvesting or fuel, and burning forest into farmland were the main culprits.
After the break.
Welcome to GTP Health and Safety Corner. If you feel like stepping out, remember social distancing. You might just save a life. Work at home, stay at home, stay safe. Wash your hands with soap under running water. Spaced out but still in touch. Check in on your loved ones and stay safe. GTP, timeless.
Hey, so this is Dishant from Unica University Common Application. I recommend you to watch AAU television.
AAU TV is the place to be for every person in higher education in Africa. Better be there or be nowhere.
Continuez de regarder la télé et surtout sur le AAU.
Keep watching it and it will change the way you interact with higher education on the continent. AAU, great job.
I want to tell you that AAU television is fantastic, it's educative, it's informative, and it is a must for anybody who is interested in higher education in Africa.
When I was in Accra last year, I did an interview on this TV. It's a very important mouthpiece.
It's a data, it's a bank of all we need for the development of higher education in Africa.
People should make an effort to view it because it discusses very current issues of development across the continent.
I believe that the station will continue to promote the overall development of Africa, particularly in the tertiary education sector.
AAU TV provides a platform and shares a lot of information to a broader audience. So we wish you all the best and please continue serving
AAU TV,
the voice of higher education in Africa.
And also in our health news, in a recent study, researchers have found that there's a strong relationship between parents and adolescents who have positive impacts on their long-term health outcomes.
Children's Hospital of Philadelphia researchers have discovered that teenagers who report having close relationships with their parents do better in terms of their long-term health. The results of the study point to the possibility that investment in bettering parent-adolescent interactions could enhance overall mental and sexual health while also lowering substance use among young adults. Researchers examined traits such as reported parental warmth, communication, time spent together, and academic expectations as determined when individuals were between the ages of 12 and 17. The same subjects provided information on their present levels of stress, sadness, optimism, nicotine dependency, and substance misuse, as well as other general health indicators when they were between the ages of 24 and 32. The study segregated the data based on relationships with mother and father figures who resided in the home and accounted for age, race, ethnicity, family structure, and other characteristics. According to the study, those who reported higher levels of warmth, communication, time spent together, academic expectations, relationship or communication satisfaction, and inductive discipline with their parents as children who reported significantly higher levels of general health as young adults. They also reported much lower levels of stress and depressive symptoms as young adults, as well as significantly higher levels of optimism and quality of their romantic relationships. According to the overall pattern of the results, close bonds between parents and children during adolescence are associated with higher health and well-being in young adults, says Ford. Relationship building initiatives between parents and adolescents may have significant long-term health advantages.
We'll be back with more news on entertainment and sports. Stay tuned.
It's time for sports and entertainment news. My name is Isabella Teta Hinakwa. In sports, in a surprising turn of events, World Cup semi-finalist Morocco has stunned Brazil 2-1 in Saturday's friendly match held in Tangiers.
Morocco, a North African country, defeated Brazil 2-1 on Saturday in a friendly match played at the King Mohammed IV Stadium at Casablanca, leaving the Brazilian squad stunned. Morocco took the lead in the 29th minute thanks to the goal from attacking midfielder Sofiane Boufal, who took advantage of a defensive lapse by the Brazilians, who struggled to find a rhythm but failed to create clear-cut chances in the first half. However, they came out strong in the second half, tying the game in the 67th minute on a goal by skipper Casemiro. Brazil's fate was sealed in the 79th minute when Abdul Hamid Sabiri doubled their lead, giving Morocco their first ever win over the five-time world champions. Morocco's head coach stated in a post-game press conference that their victory over Brazil, the top team in the FIFA rankings, means a lot to them.
This is the month of Ramadan. We have to go and pray Taraweeh to confirm if it's true or not. Now we are going to celebrate, but it's a long way to go. We must not get on fire. When I say we must win the African Cup, they say that I'm exaggerating. I must be careful when I say that we are not going to play for win, but we only play for happiness.
The victory is a huge boost for Morocco after an exciting and memorable match that showcased the team's passion and skill. It also emphasizes African football's potential as the continent continues to produce world-class players and teams.
And for entertainment news, in Nairobi's vast informal settlement of Kibera, David Oshien, who is into fashion, is changing the business narrative.
A young guy is altering the narrative in the apparel industry in a large informal settlement in Nairobi. Every stage is made with remarkable precision as David Osting Kibera's slang workshop to produce high-quality clothing. David drew inspiration from his time as a dancer when developing his fashion line, Looks Like Avido. Several individuals at the time enjoyed his personalized attire. Therefore, he made the decision to enter the fashion industry. Ocheng is ecstatic to share that Look Like Avido has had tremendous growth and has been successful in breaking through the international fashion industry. Ocheng is quick to point out that the album emphasizes brand as one of the fashion brands that supported both human nature and the way people live in society. 20% of each scale made by Looks Like Avido is donated to the Avido Foundation to support initiatives for community empowerment and the education of talented slum children. The foundation runs a sewing class that teaches young moms and deaf women how to produce garments. Following the training, they are presented to individuals who can offer them internships. Alternatively, they are encouraged to find their own internships. Once they have mastered sewing, they are either recruited or given the opportunity to launch their own enterprises. Several of Avido's foundation beneficiaries can now look forward to a better future because of David's effort to transform lives. After receiving training, one of them, Esther Ndoku, is now able to sew a pair of shorts and hopes to find employment or start her own business.
That is all for sports and entertainment news. My name is Isabella Teta Hinakwa. Coming up is business news.
Now in our business news, in a bid to support Kenya's budget, the World Bank has increased the amount under the consideration for a possible budget support loan this fiscal year by a third to $1 billion.
Kenya is set to increase its financing from the World Bank's Development Policy Operations Loan to $1 billion this fiscal year, according to a document posted on the bank's website. In the document, Kenya's government had previously indicated an amount of $750 million, but has been increased by a third more. This increment will support the government's effort to address most of its challenges, which include a heavy debt load, lack of fiscal space, drought, and a weaker currency. Although Kenya is qualified for that type of financing since 2019 and it has received 4 such loans, the last one in March, approval from the bank's board is required before the end of Kenya's current financial year on June 30th. In our international news, tragic news coming in from Tunisia, where at least 29 migrants have lost their lives after their boat sank off the country's coast in the Mediterranean Sea.
According to authorities, at least 2 boats capsized within hours of one another off the coast of Tunisia, killing about 29 migrants. To get to Italy, the sub-Saharan migrants attempted to cross the Mediterranean. 5 other migrant boats have capsized in the previous 4 days off the coast of Tunisia, making this one the most recent. This comes after Tunisia began a campaign against African migrants without legal status. Italian authorities on the island of Lampedusa claimed they are overburdened as a result of record-breaking 2,500 migrant arrivals in the previous 24 hours. Giorgia Meloni, the far-right Prime Minister of Italy, has cautioned that Europe faces the possibility of receiving a massive influx of refugees. According to UN statistics, at least 12,000 migrants who arrived on the Italian coast this year did so after departing from Tunisia, making the country a major hub for migrants trying to reach Europe. The number was only 1,300 over the same time frame the previous year. Although they have stopped about 80 boats traveling to Europe in the last 4 days, the Tunisian Coast Guard claims they are taking action to stop the migrants' crossings, according to the Reuters news agency. The same agency reports that it also claims to have detained more than 3,000 migrants. The president of Tunisia made a contentious speech last month in which he claimed that immigrants from sub-Saharan Africa were a demographic threat and that they were responsible for a rise in crime. As a result of the growing intolerance in Tunisia, some nations, including the Ivory Coast and Guinea, have decided to repatriate their citizens.
Now, thank you for staying with us. Let's take a quick recap of our headlines.
In our higher education loans board help runs out of cash. And in our health, adolescent-parent relationship linked to better long-term health outcomes 35.
And also in our Discovery News, Cameroonian entrepreneur converts coal waste into green gas. And in our entertainment news, Kenyan fashion brand looks like Avido gains international recognition.
Thanks for sticking with us on the Midweek News on AAU TV. You can also get interactive on our dedicated news hub, tv.aau.org. My name is Jemai Madaladan Duce.
Do have a blessed weekend. My name is Lydia Nyame.